Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Martinez, and today I'm here with a video covering Module 3. Here we go, I guess. First part of my project, I installed Hyper-V on my Windows system by going to Server Manager, selecting Add Roles Features in the Manage menu. I then added Hyper-V in the Add Features prompt. At the Hyper-V page, I read the information regarding best practices, selected Ethernet adapter provides access to my physical network. Afterwards, I then made a new folder for my VMs, clicked yes to confirm, and then my system was successfully installed. I'll show here. Here it is. On my second part, I went to Server Manager, clicked the hyperlink next to my Ethernet network interface. I then proceeded to check the properties of both my regular Ethernet network and my virtual Ethernet. Within the Server Manager, I selected the Tools and then clicked Hyper-V Manager. In there, I applied the settings of the external virtual switch, and then I decided to create a new virtual switch, except it's an internal one. After configuring the settings for it, I went to the network connections in Control Panel. After closing Hyper-V Manager, I made a new manual IP address for my internal virtual switch. Afterwards, I clicked OK and closed the network connections window. And boom. In fact, I can show you guys here. I'm currently in my computer with the Hyper-V installed on it. And here it is. This is the manual IP address for the internal virtual switch. The third part has me installing the CPN Windows deployment system within Server Manager by going to Add Roles and Features. And when I reach the Select Server's Roles page, I selected DHCP Server and WDS as features I want to add to my system. After reading the info regarding their use practices, I then installed them, and then I closed the Add Roles Features wizard. In the DHCP tool I opened in Server Manager, I created a new scope called Internal Network for my internal network. I then made an IP address range for my internal virtual switch. And at the DHCP tool, I clicked the scope I made for my internal network, clicked more actions, and then activate to activate the scope for my internal network. I then closed the app when finished. For Windows deployment services, I configured my server by right-clicking it and then configuring it. I then proceeded to use the installation media or ISO image of my Windows Server 2019 media, and then I put it in near the virtual DVD-ROM of my system. I decided to add the boot image I made on my system by clicking boot WIM and then opening it. I then installed image, clicked install WIM by navigating to the sources folder on my DVD-ROM drive, and then opened it. After it finished installing, I clicked finish to close the add image wizard. Afterwards, in my Windows deployment services, I right-clicked my server, clicked all tasks, and then clicked start to start them. As you can see on my system, this is the server I worked on, server 104, and since I already started the server's tasks, the only tasks I have are to stop or restart the system. Or in this case, restart the server's tasks. In the fourth part of my hands-on projects, I created a brand new virtual machine within my virtual machine called Windows Server 2019 VM1. I went to the Hyper-V Manager, installed Within my virtual machine, I changed the settings such as the memory, the storage. I selected the virtual machine after installing it and then clicked it to connect it. I pressed F12 to download the boot.wim file from my WDS server to my virtual machine to install it. In the Windows setup, I created a valid username, password, selected how much storage is on my disk for the program. I restarted the system if necessary, and when the OOB wizard appears, I selected my country, region, language, keyboard layout, and made new password for my system. And boom! I managed to log into the system successfully. In fact, here, let me show you. This is the virtual machine within my virtual machine. That is crazy. A virtual machine within a virtual machine. For the Project 3-5 templates, I decided to use Windows Server 2019 VM1 as a template for Windows Server 2019 VM2. Here's how I did it. While I was logged onto the virtual machine, I went to this PC in File Explorer and double-clicked the sysprep.exe application present in there. In the sysprep tool, I selected Generalize, and then I clicked Shut Down to close this virtual machine. Back in regular Hyper-V, I clicked Export to export the template in the location text box, and then click Export. Afterwards, I imported that same virtual machine and then changed it into a template for my second virtual machine. I selected Copy to create the second virtual machine. I named it VM2. I put the settings for the virtual machine. And when I was done, I decided to connect to the machine. After I connected to it, I put like the country, region, app language, keyboard layout, and username and password for the second virtual machine. And I'm here. In the server manager, where it starts and prompts me to manage servers, I selected to make it not show a message again and to not start the server manager automatically at logon, and then I shut down the second virtual machine. Proof I've got the second virtual machine. This machine is the second one is currently running, and it's working as intended. As you see, we got the recycle bin, the buttons here, and the timer and internet connection things there. So that means it's working. Number 6, I had to make checkpoints for my virtual machine. After I finished signing in the virtual machine, the first one, not the second this time, as it says to do the first one, I've made it so the server manager does not start automatically. Then I made a text document called my file. After that, I decided to click checkpoints in the management section, select standard checkpoints instead of production checkpoints. I then clicked create checkpoint in the actions pane, and then after I finished making a checkpoint, I deleted my file. I clicked the checkpoint, and the my file is still open in the checkpoint, not in the regular computer before I reset it. I then deleted the checkpoint, selected production checkpoints, applied the checkpoint, logged on to the system. I entered the system and noticed that my file is available on desktop, but the contents within the app are not saved. I then deleted the checkpoint afterwards. To prove the checkpoint works, I made a checkpoint with the my file available. I then decided to delete it. But look what happens when I select this checkpoint. The computer starts again as normal. Originally I deleted the file, but look what happens when I return with the checkpoint. The my file is still here. That's how it works. Part 7, I decide to modify the virtual machine VM1 by modifying the BIOS, memory, processor, as well as other actions like the DVD drive or ISO image file, SCSI control to add an additional hard drive to a system. I configured the disk to have 127 gigs. I created a new external virtual switch for the system, and I highlighted automatic start action under management section. I selected nothing there and clicked OK. After I logged on, I went to the disk management application. As you can see here, this is the amount of space that was unallocated before I started turning it online and allocating it. I turned the disk online, initialized it, and created a new simple volume with a simple volume wizard. The volume that was made will be present in the This PC section of File Explorer. This is the one I made, New Volume E. Afterwards, I check network connections, I change adapter status, right-click my Ethernet adapter, and in Ethernet status, I check the properties such as IPv4 and IPv6 configuration. And in these two windows, if my network environment requires manual IPv4 configuration, I have to use like a following IP address and DNS server address and supply correct information. But since the internet for this virtual machine works just by assigning both IP and DNS server addresses automatically, I don't need to. It says, if my network environment requires manual configuration. I then clicked OK to close the Ethernet properties window and close the Ethernet status window. I finally shut down my VM1 virtual machine for the project. To prove I got it right, let me check this PC. As you can see, I got the new volume E showing right here. As you can see here, I'm currently connected to the internet. As you can see, I'm connected to the IPv4 of the internet. As you can see, the internet is working correctly. The symbol is there. And I'll try going on Internet Explorer to see if it works. Okay, as you can see, Internet Explorer works, which means the internet is configured correctly. Yeah. Well, everyone, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, want to make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to stay connected to my YouTube channel so you can watch more overviews of like my projects like this. Once again, I want to thank you all so much for watching. My name is Jose Martinez, and this is where I'll be signing off. Bye, everyone.